Before the episode starts, we're going to take a quick second to thank our patrons. In the House of Stone, we have Alexander Eagleson, Allison Connors, Krisha Dolan, Fighting Chance Studio, Liv Matlin, and Melissa Russell. And in the House of Fleam, we have Bertie Tam, Amber Costley, Celeste Gantz, Cheryl Eisenhower, Corey Little, Cynthia Johnson, Francie Dillon, my mom, J.S. or Julie, hi Julie, Katie Grant, Leah Harvell, congrats on the new last name, Leah, Natalie Curry, Pokela, and Spaghetti Sandwich. And we would also like to welcome Aaron of Dirty Panda Ceramics, who has moved from the House of Stone to join the House of Flame. So thank you so much to all of our patrons. You guys help keep the show going, and you help me continuing to make geeky mugs and creature sculptures. So if you'd like to join them and become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Lindsey M Dillon. And this week's blessing is...
May your kiln be as hot as that one night in Santa Barbara.
Wait, what?
You know what I'm talking about.
Donte.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about.
This is The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind the scenes of their worlds of clay. We're your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation.
This week, we are talking about holiday prep, and it's kind of holiday prep 2.0 because in 2020, we actually did another holiday prep episode. So what we're gonna try and do is kind of address some of the points that we talked about last episode. Thank you. And just kind of talk about some of the new things. And then as a preface, both of us are feeling kind of like night peddlers sort of vibes, so this is gonna be...
We're just here to shoot it. We're not talking about vitrification today.
Yeah.
We're not talking about coefficient of expansion today.
Thank God.
We're not talking about how to put a glaze recipe together today and like what's a flux, what's a stabilizer. We're just here to talk about
holiday prep. Yeah.
And like what goes on around that. Because it never goes the way it's supposed to go.
No.
Never goes perfect.
So one of the things we had actually talked about with the last holiday prep episode that we did is you were actually talking about how you were wanting to do more repeating shapes and kind of reel in the glaze experimentation that you were doing.
I need to stop.
I was gonna say, because I feel like you've gotten pretty good at making multiple of the same piece to kind of meet the higher demand for certain pieces.
Yeah.
But it definitely seems like you're still on that glaze train.
Here's what happens, right?
Here's
what happens is I make a bunch of stuff. I make like 200 pieces. And then I go, I could glaze all of these in blue and Tenmoku Flow Gold and I could like do Randy's red with the blue combo and everybody loves that, right? Or I can use like a fourth of these for glaze experiments and I can not update my store for a month or two and I could just let that go. And like part of my brain's like, people got enough pots, right? It's fine.
Never enough.
People went to earthnationceramics.com, got their stuff, and they're good for like a year, right? They'll buy a new pot next year when they make a better pot. It's not true. People message me like, when's your next drop? You haven't released one in 4 months, and I'm over here with Randy's red with yellow iron oxide instead of red iron oxide just to see if there's a difference. Even though they're chemically the same, I'm like, what if one of them turns out lighter? That'd be awesome.
That would be.
Yeah, and so I'm just doing glaze experiment. I need to stop, though. You know what I've done? I bought a, the ceramic material workshop with Matt Katz and Rose Katz. I bought their class.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I was up late one night and I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm just guessing and getting lucky and then learning from my guesses, which I guess is how you do experiments. But I was like, I want to know. I'm tired of guessing. I want to know.
Yeah.
And so I bought his class. It's like $1,000.
Yes.
But I bought him and then I've been watching him throughout the night. As I'm like up with baby in my arms, I'm watching him. I finally caved and bought me a for fuck's sake package of learning.
Yes, I'm happy for you, dude. That's gonna be fun to see where all that goes.
So angry.
Yeah.
I'm like angry because I feel like I should have been able to do it without help. You know what I mean? I have one of those where I'm like.
Yeah. No. Sometimes we need the extra help. I actually finally hired a business coach actually. So
Really?
Yeah. We're doing, it's kind of funny. We had our first meeting yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it reminded me of therapy in a really good way. Like it was basically,
Because there's a bad way therapy.
because there's definitely a bad way therapy where it's like I left crying and emotionally distraught. No, this was good. This was like, oh, thank God, I'm finally like getting tools to help with what I need, because it's kind of like I feel like I've gotten as far as I can with my business with the tools that I have
without knowing the nitty-gritty tricks.
Yeah. And now it's like, okay, I need more tools. Like, and so anyway, so shout out to Kate. I'll link her info in the notes in case any of y'all are interested.
Any of y'all need a business advisor question mark?
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's like a group thing. So it's a facilitated discussion between myself and 3 other artists.
Oh, I see.
With Kate like facilitating, and then you also get a one-on-one coaching session with Kate as well. So she does the one-on-one coaching consistently, but that's a little bit outside my price range right now.
Right.
So I'm doing a 3-month thing that's in like the group session. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I swear this is not an ad, and we'll eventually start talking about holiday prep, but y'all are getting a longer intro this time.
Can I just, one more thing, I promise, one more thing. You know what's really validating is when you see someone who is clearly on a higher educational level in your field, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, that's Matt Katz and Rose Katz. Mm-hmm. Where like I watch them and I go, they just know.
Yeah.
Like they just know, like they know exactly what this chemical does in a glaze without me having to look it up on Digital Fire.
Yeah.
Right? And it's super validating for me. I hate using that term, Gen Z kids. It's super validating for me to listen to their podcast or take the classes that are like, I bought the classes.
Yeah.
And he lays out everything you need and what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. And I'm like, I'm already doing that! Yay! Like, when he says something about vitrification, and I'm like, I knew that because I've been doing these experiments for a year.
Yeah.
And I just needed somebody better than me to confirm it.
Yes, yeah. which
exactly.
is awesome that it's like, verified.
I love that. I love when he says something, and I'm like, that's not how that works. Right? And he goes, right. And I'm like, yeah, right! I knew it the whole time! But that's awesome. He's on a different level. He even made these little containers. He's like, you gotta get these little containers. People like to use mason jars. Mason jars are good, but like the top rusts, and I'm like, I'm using those same containers. Oh. I'm already there, bro.
Yes. That's great. Hell yeah, dude.
This is what we're supposed to do. It's what, like, we're supposed to get the money from the business, put it back into the business.
Yeah. We're doing it. High five, bro.
Are you gonna?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm leaving that in. All right, holiday prep. How are you approaching holiday prep this year?
So I got a commission from Tea Cozy.
Oh, right.
The episode should probably be out by next month, the one that we made, the pseudo commercial for them. By the time that I finished their commission, it was almost holiday prep overtime.
Oh, dang.
So my brain was like, well, I guess whatever I have. So I made like 70 pots to put into the store. Somebody offered me a table at Sac Anime, and I was like, no.
Wow, they straight up offered you a table?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
It was Tea Cozy. Tea Cozy's like, we're getting a table, and we want you to come with us, but we need like $600. And I was like, I could swing that, but like, also, I don't have the stock for that.
Yeah,
like, it's all going to the web store.
Yeah.
And people usually buy my stuff out within a month. Mm-hmm. You know, so like, there's no way.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Dude, just to like interject, I feel that like so hard, and that's one of the biggest differences between holiday prep this year for me and past years, is that in past years, and I mentioned this on the previous holiday prep episode, it's always like right as holiday prep is about to start, I get an unexpected commission.
Yes.
And, sometimes there are commissions where it's like, I could have said no and I should have.
Yes.
And some of them were things like, oh, Insight Coffee Roasters wants a new set of dishware. And I'm like, well, like that's a really important client. Like I kind of have to do that. Yeah. But this year, because in general, I've been trying to like back off from doing like wholesale stuff. It's so nice because this is the first year that I'm like, I have Sac Anime prep, I have holiday prep, and I have no other commissions. And I'm just like, yes, it's so nice because I kept running into the issue that you have right now, where you have this big commission that you have to finish that's right smack in the middle of like holiday prep time.
Because it's their holiday prep time too, where they're like, we want a new item for the holidays, and you're gonna make it, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I also have my stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to like, it's difficult to navigate both.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but the commission generally gives more money than, it's like promised money.
Right.
Like Tea Cozy's like, we're promising you this amount of money.
Yeah.
Versus if you updated your store, you might make that amount of money. Great. It's like a little gamble. It's like, I could make 2 Gs, but you are promising me 1 G. And I could probably swing both if I work really hard, but I will burn out.
Yeah, and I think that's the highest risk with the holidays is like navigating the potential of burnout.
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid burnout completely this year because I've probably mentioned before and you've heard me say before, like my partner has been like, hey, Lindsey, I'm kind of getting tired of you being super, super freaking stressed out during the holidays and like I never get to see you. And so I'm really trying to not do that this year. But yeah, it is like what you're saying with the promised money versus the potential money. Personally, I don't think that you would have a problem making that amount. Like, let's say hypothetically, Tea Cozy hadn't hired you for this commission. Yeah, I easily think you could make that same amount with what you have. Because you were in such high demand, dude. Like, if you were, I don't know, I'm thinking like, okay, for ceramic artists who are like just starting out, I think it makes more sense to take more of those, that promised money commissions because you're still building your brand, you're still building your business. For me, it's kind of weird to say that, but it's like, I have kind of been realizing that I think the demand for my work from the general public is high enough that I don't have to seek out these commissions that of promised money.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. I don't know if I'm that in demand.
Guys, send us messages. Tell us in the comments. Donte is definitely in that demand.
Because I hear stories about people who are like, where's Donte? He was at the last SAC Anime. And then when I'm at SAC Anime, I'm like, I don't see these hoes. They're not looking specifically for me. You know what I mean? Well, that's not fair because that does happen. Yeah.
You're very popular.
No. I don't know. You know what it is? People haven't met me in real life. That's what that is. People are like, oh, I love Donte the Potter, and they meet me, and I'm like, what do you want? Like, oh, he's kind of a dick.
I feel like you've done a nice job of like prepping your audience for like, hey, this is how I am on my videos, but like for Nsika, you're like, y'all gotta go through Lindsey first.
So there's a guy at my work, the most fantastic man, and he's very like open with what he thinks about me, and we have this weird communication. And I want to say a couple years ago, he turned to me and he's like, you're like aggressively supportive.
Yes.
Yeah. He goes, that's the best way I can describe you, is that like you're like irritated that people can't help themselves very easily, or when you try and help them, you like, he's like, I don't know how to describe it, but you're like, people who are supportive are usually nice. He goes like, you're not like super nice, but you are very supportive.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, that seems fair. Yeah. And he's like, and I appreciate that over people who are nice and not supportive. Like people where we're from will be like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, oh my god, and then do nothing to fix the problem. But people on the other side of America are just like, you let your tire get smelled? What'd you do that for? While fixing your tire. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, what are you stupid? You didn't put air in your tire? Oh my god. God, it's cheap tire here, and they'll like be buying you a new tire as they're talking about you.
I hear it.
And I've never been to that side of the world, but I'm like, I can see that. So do you have an Etsy update planned?
Well,
or are you doing the table at SAC Anime and like...
I have a few different things planned. So I'm pulling up my 3-month plan paper right here.
It's a calendar.
It's a calendar.
It's a whole calendar. But like she wrote it herself.
Yeah, and it's got like...
I wish we had a Mud Peddlers Instagram so I could put this picture.
Well, I mean, I can put... this is actually... People on my Patreon are gonna see this. So if you are a Mud Peddlers supporter and you're on Patreon, then you will see this absolutely insane calendar that I'm referencing.
It is insane.
But the reason that I was doing this last night is because I had to figure out like, okay, how am I gonna navigate the holidays without being like super stressed and pushing myself too far? And also meeting some of the goals that I wanted. Like I really wanted to do an in-person second sale this year because I have literally like probably 20 boxes of stuff that I need to get rid of. But I also was like, oh, I want to do like a made to order update because some people have been asking. So to help with my overall mental health this season. Okay. But also as a way to thank our patrons because our patrons are amazing and most of them have been supportive like since we dropped the Patreon.
I really love you patrons, by the way.
Yeah.
Because they're 90% of you are like, I'm just here to support you and make sure you keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hella support that.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing this year is I'm on Saturday, November 19th, I'm doing a made to order update. Okay. But just for my patrons.
Okay.
So it's like, that's kind of my way of being like, ideally I'd like to be able to do this for everyone, but for the sake of my like balancing my life, I'm only going to be accepting it for patrons. So if this, and it's also like, I felt super guilty about this because I'm like, this isn't a way to try and like guilt you into like becoming a patron. This is literally just like, this is how I got to manage my shit this year.
You have to. It's super messed up, but like I have to give my patrons special stuff because they're special, because they pay for
because I want to thank them. It's like they're giving, like giving me money every month. Like that's amazing. And
they
admittedly,
literally have stocks in us.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So that's Saturday, November 19th is the made-to-order Patreon shop update.
Okay.
Then the following week, which is Small Business Saturday, a.k.a. the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
I'm sorry, what? Small Business
Saturday.
Oh my God.
I know, it's a thing. I think American Express started it. I know. It's a total capitalist thing, but you know what? I'm hopping on board because that's just what I gotta do.
You know, it hurts because sooner or later I get on board too just because it's to my benefit. But it's so Hallmark. I hate it so much.
I know. Admittedly, I love Hallmark stuff, which is part of the reason why I try and balance out my holidays, because I want to actually enjoy the holiday season because I'm a huge slut for Christmas stuff. And I want to be able to enjoy it. So Small Business Saturday, I'm doing a regular shop update.
Don't say it like you're happy to say it.
I am, you know what, I'm actually legit, I'm a little happy to say it because I know that's one of those things where it's like, they always say for again, managing your business, it's try and align updates with things where people are already spending money. And I'm like, cool. So the benefit of this is that it's early enough that, if people buy that stuff immediately, shipping's shouldn't be as much of a problem.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing with timing too, is I need enough timing to make enough inventory, but also leave a lot of room for potential shipping delays, which can happen during the holidays. And how I'm basically planning for that, because this whole time, for the next couple months, I'm just going to be planning or making stuff for Sac Anime. So I'm going to pull a few pieces from my Sac Anime inventory to stock my regular shop update, but it's only going to be maybe 20 or 30 pieces because Sac Anime is still kind of my main priority because I have to have enough inventory for that to last through the weekend to make it worth
so when is Sac Anime? Next month, huh?
Yeah, no. Sac Anime is January 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I got a decent amount of time to prep for that, but because I upgraded my booth and my booth fee is now $650 as opposed to $250, I really want to try and get to maybe 300 items or 200 items, but the higher priced items.
I see.
To make it worth that extra money.
I see.
So so that's Small Business Saturday, and then the next weekend, December 3rd.
Don't say another Hallmark thing. Don't do
I'm doing an in-person second sale.
Oh, okay.
So that's basically me taking all the boxes of stuff. Some of it is pieces that are, not 10. I'm going to be selling them for as low as $10, like the pieces that I've made 5 years ago that are super old.
Yeah.
But that's basically okay, if you really want to guarantee that you're going to get the mug that, check out the drop on Small Business Saturday. But if you either don't have the money for that or, or whatever, then you can come to the in-person event, which is going to be in my studio on December 3rd. So that's going to be basically seconds that range from maybe $10 less than where things are regularly priced to just straight up $10 for these older pieces.
Right, okay.
And then anything that's left over from that, I will either smash or put into the second sale leftovers shop update, which will be Saturday, December 10th.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, you have a lot of...
It's gonna be a lot.
I just have one. Maybe two if I stretch it, but I'm doing a giant sale December 1st, where I'm nothing's gonna be over 60 or $62 in my store.
Okay.
Including shipping. I want a clean slate. I want everything out. I want everything to be sold. Everything's going to be on sale for a giant Christmas sale.
And that's December 1st.
December 1st,
okay.
Everything will go live.
Okay.
Of course, patrons get the first pick, so they're probably going to get a catalog, if not first dibs. So what usually happens, my patron goes, I like that cup, I want that cup. And if you're a patron of a certain level, I just take it out of the store before anyone publicly sees it.
Yeah.
And then I put their name on it, I package it, and I send it out before it, you won't even know it exists, realistically.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That happens a lot whenever I release a store update and there's 70 pots and my patrons have taken 20. Someone's dude, your store update was 40, 50 pots. And I go, yeah, well,
Patrons get first dibs.
Patrons get first, you're right. I feel like I'm guilting them into...
No, but
I don't mean to. I don't,
Yeah. No, it's just kind of that's the the benefit is the
stockholders get preference.
Yeah.
Preferential treatment.
Yeah.
Sorry. They paid more for the good dick, so...
Oh my god! So what I'm hearing is that we're prostituting ourselves for capitalism.
I am working it.
Yeah, we are. Gonna work it, now let me work it. I'm sorry.
okay.
I apologize. So you're gonna try and have about 70 pieces in that update?
Yeah, December 1st is going to be my update. And I really want, if you're listening to this right now and you've been thinking like, oh, I'll get one of Dante's pots, just please help me get this crap.
You're trying to have a, like you said, clean slate, just like get everything.
Because what I want to do is much like what I've been saying last year, where people seem to really like certain mugs.
Right.
Or certain bowls or certain bottles. So I want to make like 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then 3 of those and 3 of those and then have an update so that way I don't have so much things in the catalog. I just have things that I'm really good at that people seem to like a lot. And then I'll change those over every now and then when I make a new color. I make into this and make into that.
Yeah.
And I think that gives me room for innovation. We're like, okay, today I'm going to make 10 bowls, right? And that's going to be 5 sets of 2.
Yeah.
And we're going to have those 5 bowls of the same style in different colors on my website. And people who like that style will get it in the color of their preference.
Yeah.
And then when I make a new color, I'll announce once every 3-4 months, like, hey, I made a new color. And that gives me room, or at least leniency, to make a new color.
Yeah,
So I'm just not experimenting on like a random, like pot number 352. It's a special kind of red that I'll never make again.
Oh, yeah.
That you'll never see in your whole life. I was experimenting, and it's a one-off pot, and I was just making stuff. And it's not even like one mug in the line of multiple mugs, right? It's more like, this is just an experiment. And I give a lot of them to my patrons because I like that my patrons have my experiments.
Yeah,
it.
That's pretty cool.
Because they're super one of a kind, but like I just need more of an organized catalog so that I can have room to experiment. When I sit down on the wheel, I go, this is what I gotta make. Also, when I'm done with the catalog, when I go, I have enough for the next upload or whatever, I can go, okay, let me make like a nice piece now.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that.
I want some of that. I just want the room, and in order to have room to put more things on the roster, I would have to organize my house in such a way that I would have room. Yeah.
Yeah, so you basically want to make the standard pieces that you know are going to sell, or that you think are more likely to sell.
Yes.
And then say, cool, check, got that out of the way. Now, because I have this out of the way, I have time for the more unique pieces or experimenting or like, but you basically
or a table even. Like,
yeah. Ooh, a table?
A table.
You can go make a table?
No, not out of clay.
I was so confused. I'm like, are you doing tiles now?
To do like a pottery table, like a sack anime table.
Oh, that makes so
Lindsey,
much more
table!
sense. I'm super literal right now. I'm like, Donte about to make a table? Like, what? I was very confused. That makes a lot. Dude, I would be so stoked if you would do a table. And I know Aaron, like for folks who listened to the last episode, Aaron would be so stoked too if you wanted to do like the Ren Fair table or something.
I think I'm gonna have to because he's so excited about it.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Aaron is, he was on our last podcast and he was so like, you got it, dude.
Yeah.
You got it. And he's very easy to convince me if you give me like the total dude, like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
No. Bro. I don't want to. Dude. I don't have the time for it, bro. And like 20 bros later, I'm like, fine, if it'll shut you up, I'll do it. It's very easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm glad that he worked on you. Aaron, if you're listening to this, thanks, bro. Yeah. All right, so I listened, as I mentioned earlier, I listened to the last holiday prep episode that we did.
Yes.
And one of the things that you brought up several times is that you weren't super focused on like the money making aspect of the holidays, but it kind of seems like based on some of the conversations we've had like off the podcast, that's changing for you a little bit.
You know what's really strange is that when I first started this, like, well, I have to sell pots now.
Yeah.
Because I had the YouTube channel for like 2 or 3 years before I was like, fine, I'll make a website. You guys are up my ass about it.
Yeah.
Right? Is I got to the space where I'm like, I'm only going to make what I want to make. And then if you buy it, whatever.
Yeah.
And now I'm very like, it's not that I want to make what I want to make and you buy whatever so that I can make whatever I feel like making to feed myself artistically. Mm-hmm. It's more that it costs me less trouble and it saves me more time to build a system in which people would actively seek after and buy my work. So that way I have the space to create what I want to create than it does to just randomly create stuff. And hopefully I catch a fish in the pond. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I know these fish like this worm.
Yeah.
So I'm making a bunch of these worms so that I can have my peace of mind to go fishing somewhere else.
Ooh,
versus
I like that.
I just keep trying different bait and seeing which fish pulls up.
Yeah.
Does that?
I think so, because it sounds...
That was a bad one, but I feel like it hit a little.
No. Actually, that's a really like apt metaphor. I like that. So if I'm understanding that correctly, it's more, like you're saying, it's more efficient for you to be like, cool, I know that I know that these pieces are going to sell, and it just sounds like in general you're wanting more income coming in so that you can do more of those experimental pieces. Whereas before it was kind of like, I'm gonna do those experimental pieces anyway.
Yeah.
And the money is whatever it is. But it's like
if you looked in your pantry right now and you could get rid of like 5 things that you truly didn't need and you understood you weren't going to use for years upon years, to the point where like you're going to look in there and be like, I'm going to have to throw that away, it's going to expire before I even use it.
Right.
In my mind, if I got rid of that item, it would leave room for items that I truly want and or need. Right? And that's what I'm trying to do space-wise. Is I'm trying to I need to get rid of this thing that doesn't work as well as it could be working so I can replace it with something that in fact it does work.
Yes.
For me, it works for me, especially passively.
Right.
If you can get something that works for you just passive income, it's amazing.
How is it like passive income?
No, I'm just...
just like in general. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the pots, and I'm like, you're actively making every one of those, Donte. What?
Sorry, no.
No, it's good.
I just mean because YouTube is a good example. But I mean it in the way that if I can get something that is more use to me and less work than something that is just useful to me and more work, I would much rather take the first one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I might not like making mugs, but you guys like mugs in the special. So I can make 5 of those mugs, and that'll get 5 of you off my ass. We're like, where's your next store update?
Keep staying on his ass, guys.
Oh, yeah. If you keep on my ass, I'll usually do the things sooner or later. Usually. I'll be like, all right, well, it's in demand, so I gotta supply it.
Yeah.
You ever feel like, now that we're getting to the more, I guess, professional level or the more business level, I feel like when we first started, we would be like, no, I don't work for, what's it called, exposure.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I work for money. And now that we're at a certain level, you're like, well, the exposure makes the money after a while. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I think so.
So let me make an example for you, right?
Okay.
Would you rather take a $2,000 job that nobody knows you did it, or would you rather take a $1,000 job where 1,000 people know that was you? And that might buy products from you later in the future. That would possibly be worth more than that $1,000.
Yes.
You would essentially just have to wait for the money, but which one would you rather have?
Probably... Okay, admittedly, it would sort of depend on my immediate financial situation. Like, if something had come up and I'm like, I really need that extra $1,000 assured right now, then I would do that. Mm-hmm. But in general, I think going with the first one would make more sense because it kind of reminds me of what John the Potter said. I can't remember if it was on our podcast or on one of the other ones he had done, but he talked about how so much of his YouTube was about gaining the audience that would then go buy his mugs.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, doing YouTube gets you some ad income, but it's also like working for exposure to gain that audience who's eventually going to buy your work.
Yes, no, I'm realizing that with YouTube is I'm trying to make more helpful videos for people. Mm-hmm. But simultaneously, I realized YouTube's not really the income that I thought it would be when I first started. It's more than I thought it would be. Uh-huh. Although I do understand that YouTube just lets people know I exist realistically. Yeah. And then from there, I have to basically be like, here are my other sources of where you can get my actual stuff. I suppose my question for you is, at what point does exposure outweigh financial situation, assuming you have the money, you are comfortable? Like, if you had to make 1,000 pots for somebody who would scream your name at the top of a mountain.
Depends on who's screaming and what mountain they're on, to be honest.
That is fair.
Yeah.
If it's Blizzard, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, even if it was, actually,
Nestle,
no.
If it was Nestle, I don't know.
Yeah. I think for me, that's really the biggest thing. And actually, okay, so this is a little bit of a roundabout way to tie this back into the holidays. Mm-hmm. But it reminds me of, because the holidays are such a high pressure time, we really, I feel have to be specific about what events we choose to go to.
Yes.
Which is why I don't really do holiday markets anymore.
I hate them.
I think they're fun, but they're not, I don't think they're worth it for me financially, because I know that I already have enough trouble making enough items for my online shop update. And I know that I have a pretty wide, relatively so. I have a relatively wide audience that's not just based in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of I want to continue to almost reward the followers who are following me online from out of state.
You don't take care of them first.
Yeah. Because it's y'all are what allow me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Of course.
So I don't really do the holiday markets anymore, because I know that the exposure and the money that I get from, say, Sac Anime, and the relationship that I build by having an online shop update, it's a higher return than the immediate money in the pocket of a of a holiday market.
I see.
So to bring that back around to 1,000 cups for someone who's going to shout your name on the mountain, it's like that same thing. It's
Depends
like
on who's shouting.
if it's like Guillermo del Toro shouting my name from the top of his stance at a convention that is all like filled with people from the film and video game industries, like I would 1,000% make those 1,000 mugs.
Yes.
But if it's like, or it's like even like, let's say it was even somebody who was famous but not really in my wheelhouse. Like for instance, I kind of off the cuff decided to do a giveaway for a green tea company, and I was a little hesitant about doing it, to be honest, because I'm like, it's a giveaway, but I was like, screw it. I haven't done one in a while. Let's just see how it goes. As I was looking at it, I was like, man, this branding, these are probably not my people. And so that shout out, that exposure wasn't worth it because it's not the right audience for me.
Right, that's fair.
Yeah, and so I feel like that's the point for me. What about for you? Like, how do you assess that situation?
I feel like I'm a little bit more, I don't want to call it morality based, I want to call it picky. We're like, okay, if you like bottled water, period, right? And by the way, don't buy from Nestle. They're a horrible company. They make a good 80% of all bottled waters. And if you think that the bottled water that you enjoy is not owned by Nestle because it's owned by another company, Nestle's probably the parent company.
Yeah, they're at the top of the umbrella for so many different companies.
There's most likely like 3 or 4 companies that control the water, and Nestle's like one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're truly awful. But if Nestle was like, we'll give you $1 million.
Oh, I would 100% take that.
I would do it in the most dickish way ever.
Tell me.
I'd be like, okay, 100 cups, $1 million, I'll do it. I'm gonna make sure all your cups have like 5% absorption rate. Crazes.
No. But then
Nestle.
the people who would buy them would have to deal with that, and it would probably be the people buying them who are like,
Nestle CEO drinks from it.
Oh my God. Okay, I think I probably agree with you on that one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely a point though where my morality is outplayed by money, but I think that I assume like everyone thinks their morality point or the breaking point for their morality or their price is higher than everyone else's.
Oh yeah.
It's not. But whenever I think about stuff like that, I often think about it from a stance of like, do I want to work with this company or do I want the money?
Yeah.
And I have to be honest with myself because sometimes I'll do a little bit of freebies for like a company. Like honestly, I love Tea Cozy, but like I could have charged Tea Cozy more for these cups than I just did.
Yeah.
I chose not to because I love Tea Cozy.
Yeah.
And they're super nice to me and they have all my tea. So like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the opposite for companies that I don't know or don't agree with. Like, I'm charging you more, I guess, but there is a point where I just go, I don't want to deal with you. Another point towards that is like going towards Christmas sales. I don't do a lot of the Christmas sale things.
Yeah.
Because most of the Christmas tables, the Christmas art tables, have a certain culture to them in comparison to like SAC Anime. SAC Anime is like our people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We feel right at home. But when I go to Folsom and I do a table, there's a very specific type of culture and person there. Like the kind of person who's mean to wait staff.
Yeah.
And I just like don't want to deal with it. And they just pretend like they're better than you for some weird reason.
Yeah.
It's Karens. It's Karens.
Yeah.
It's usually Karens will just like, for some reason they love arts and crafts and succulents and kitschy things. But they make the experience of selling to them very unpleasant in comparison to SAC Anime. SAC Anime, I'll undercharge for the experience of SAC Anime versus this type of culture that like, I don't know how to explain it without seeming offensive, but I feel like
I think people understand what you mean, and obviously it's not everybody. Like,
it's
like I'd say
it's a blanket statement.
I would say most people are nice, even if they're not necessarily like what we would consider quote unquote our people or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. A little side note, it's kind of funny because it's like I'm sure I look exactly like one of those people.
You really don't.
You don't think? Because
No.
I'm like, I have succulents. Let's go look at lights, guys.
You
like,
just like the things that like basic Americans like.
well, yeah,
On top
white
of other
ladies.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
On top of other like I'm half black. I loved Jordans until I was like 25.
Yeah.
Like I just like the things from the culture that I was raised around. And like there's no shame in that. But I think it's when you make it someone else's problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we're glad that y'all are here.
I get
if
some.
you're listening to us, know that you are getting a nice holiday hug from Donte and Lindsey.
My hug's a bit more south.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I wish I had 2 pairs of arms so that one could go over the shoulders and one could go around the waist. And maybe I'd have a tiny little set of like insect arms like near my stomach so that it could tickle you as we hug.
I wish I had 2 more arms so that I could.
Oh my God.
And the other arms would be.
Oh my God, I might have to edit that out. That's a little too spicy. Donte.
I wish
I'm here
I wish
for
I had
it,
two
but...
sets of arms so that I could put. You know why? And then I. Well,
Donte, you're digging a deeper and deeper pervy hole. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm handing you the shovel. I'm here for it. I'm helping you dig, but it's a little too spicy. Yeah, I wonder if there's any that I can keep in. Maybe I'll have to do like a little one. It's like, hey guys, just FYI, Donte's about to say something. Yeah. Pretty much. All right. I feel like we should reel it in a little bit more. Okay, so one other thing that I think actually both of us brought up in the last holiday prep episode is how to balance making new designs versus older designs. And I feel like we kind of talked about this a little bit with you wanting to make a certain number of pieces that you know are going to sell versus making the kind of experimental original pieces. But I'm wondering, how do you, during the holidays, are you aiming to also create new designs that you hope will eventually become part of the
new standard?
Part of the new standard. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say so, but I think I'm hoping to do that more instead of sporadically, more planned out. So like every 4 months, every 3-4 months, I want like a new cup with a new glaze.
Yeah.
Or I want like a new color, or I want like a new this or a new that. Like, oh, I make this kind of bottle now. I make this kind of bottle.
So you're not necessarily planning on stacking that so that during the holidays people get a bunch of new designs. You're kind of planning on integrating it throughout the year.
Yeah, I don't want to do it all at once. I don't want to like, I have new stickers and a new silk screen and a new cup and a new glaze all at once.
Yeah.
Because that would be a bit overloading for me, and plus the 4 months that it would take to develop all those would be the 4 months that I would be taking to plan out the new store update.
Yeah,
you know, like
I hear that.
I want to do it more like every other month or every like 3-4 months so that I can have time to work on the new thing and make it as good as I want it to make it. Versus, you know, or I'd have to have a back catalog of all these new colors, which I don't want to do. That seems, I don't know, that seems weird whenever a company's like, look at our new item, and all the employees are like, we've known about that for like 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
They just released it with 2 more pixels. I'm looking at you, iPhone. So so that like you could buy it. And,
I mean, I think there's some room for that, because then it's, you know, anyway, like maybe like your patrons would know about the new designs first, and then everybody else gets to know during the.
Oh yeah.
If you wanted to structure it that way, but yeah, I'm kind of doing something similar where I feel like the few new designs that I have come up with have been introduced throughout the year, so that there's not going to be any. Well, there might be 1 or 2 depending on if the stamps come in on time. Might be a couple like new quote unquote standard designs. Like I have a few new like D&D stat mugs or stat stamps that I want to maybe have during the holidays, and if not during the holidays for SAC Anime. But beyond that, yeah, I'm kind of integrating new designs throughout the year.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, well, thank you guys for oh my god. And that's it for today. Thank you for listening to The Mud Peddlers with Lindsey M Dillon
and Donte of Earth Nation.
Want to say hi and see what Donte and I are working on in our studios? Check out the show notes for links to our websites and social media below. You can find me at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com. And on Etsy, Instagram, and Facebook at Lindsey M Dillon.
And you can find me at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled, but you can also find me on my Facebook fan page and Instagram at the same name at Earth Nation Ceramics.
If you enjoyed hanging out with us today, or you have a question or topic you'd like us to discuss, take a second to rate and review the Mud Peddlers in Apple Podcasts. It helps our podcast reach new listeners, and we really appreciate the feedback. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.